Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be discussing the 1996 golf comedy Happy Gilmore starring Adam Sandler. Now let me just set the stage first by saying back in 1996 when Happy Gilmore first came out, not many people in Australia, where I'm from, knew who Adam Sandler was. In fact, Happy Gilmore did pretty poor business at the Australian box office, but it was a sleeper hit in the United States and it made 40 plus million. Whatever the case, in Australia here, Happy Gilmore didn't take off. It was one of these comedies that filtered out of the mainstream cinemas very fast. It was in and out within a week, and I managed to catch Happy Gilmore on the big screen at a second rung theatre that was running double features. Now, the film was paired with another comedy called Flirting with Disaster, which was an indie comedy directed by David O. Russell and starred Ben Stiller, Patricia Arquette and Tia Leone. Now, that film was a comedy drama, a road trip where Ben Stiller was trying to find out about his biological parents. He was trying to track them down, and that movie, I remember on the night, just kind of flatlined with the audience. That was the first film that played. And then the second half of the double bill was Happy Gilmore. And that film was a burst of energy when it came on the scene. And I don't know really what the audience thought of it exactly, but at times there was howls of laughter. So there was obviously people there that did find it very funny. And I would have to say on the night, the audience members kind of ranged from, say, the age of 10 to the age of 70. Now, Flirting with Disaster, the first film, is a forgotten movie these days. No one talks about it, but it did kind of pave the way for Ben Stiller as a leading man. And it just so happened when Happy Gilmore kicked in that night, Ben Stiller was playing a supporting role in Happy Gilmore. So I didn't know at the time that I was going to get a double dose of Stiller, but these were the early years for Stiller, and he was equipping himself quite well in these films, and you could tell that he had a lot of potential and could later become a leading man. But let's focus on Adam Sandler now. Adam Sandler's comedy is not for everyone, but back in the 90s there, he was kind of like a breath of new air, if you will, and this film took people by surprise. Now, he was very childish, very juvenile, but at the same time, he added a bit of warmth and a bit of heart to some of his portrayals. And he certainly does that here with Happy Gilmore. This is a really over-the-top, outrageous, juvenile sports comedy, and it really presents a new, fresh face on the comedy scene. And back in 1996, it was just something different. So anyway, this film has a bit of a wacky premise, but for some reason, it connected with people. Now, back then in 1996, on my first viewing in this second rung theatre, there were howls of laughter at times. And when those scenes came on with Ben Stiller, where he was like the angry nurse at the old people's home who was very abusive and mistreating Happy Gilmore's grandmother, you know, there was gasps and ahs, and people almost didn't know how to take some of that humour. But later in the film, when Ben Stiller gets his comeuppance, the audience really roared. So this film was a little bit different. It was wild, it was wacky, and very outrageous. And Happy Gilmore is one of those underdog sports movies. I can understand why back in the 90s people found it fascinating, they found it hilarious, and they ended up supporting Adam Sandler and making him a big star. So back in 96, not many people knew about this in Australia, but the following year, The Wedding Singer came out, and once that film hit, Adam Sandler was a bona fide movie star, And people went back and they started renting Happy Gilmore, and the film that came before, Billy Madison, that was a movie that people came on to late in Australia as well. So Adam Sandler really became a mainstream star with The Wedding Singer, but those stepping stones, Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore, set him up as this quirky guy. And when I stepped out of seeing Happy Gilmore in the theatre in 1996, I kind of looked at those around me and said, this guy reminds me in a way of a foul-mouthed Jerry Lewis. And that's what he was kind of treading there. He was very juvenile, very childlike, and he was often quite crude. So the Jerry Lewis comparison seemed to fit for me, and I think for the most part in those early films when he was playing these wacky characters like the Water Boy, for example, the Jerry Lewis comparison was quite real. And this was like a Jerry Lewis film that pushed the envelope a little bit with its crudities. But anyway, back in 96, I had fun with Happy Gilmore. So yes, to wrap things up, I will say my first screening of Happy Gilmore in 1996 was quite good. I laughed a lot, and I did find that Adam Sandler had a bit of a winning presence. Fast forward now 29 years, and I've seen numerous Adam Sandler films, and reflecting on it, I would have to say it's one of his better films, but the laughs don't quite hit like they did back in 96. But when they use that term classic sometimes, they do use it loosely. I would just like to think of it as it was peak Adam Sandler, and it's him at his youthful best, and if you like him, you know, it's one of his best. So thanks for joining me, and I'll see you all again very soon.